saying that I haven't met her.
Christine's put on there, Dave could not know the things that you told me. Now, the first time I gave Christine, the first night I met Christine,
Yeah.
I gave her a reading.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
And I never met her before.
Yeah.
And there was 3 or 4 things that I said to her that night. And I know because we've had this conversation.
We won't be rude this about the we just lost connection to the camera.
When the conversation that I had with Christine and Christine House, I'd never met her before and didn't know anybody who knew Christine.
Yeah.
And the little bits of information that were given to her that night.
Yeah.
That was one of those situations where she said, I need to come and see, I need to see you again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that stuff like that, because I'd given her reliable evidence
Right.
of the existence
Right.
of somebody on the other side.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
that there was the information that had been given. And I'm sure Christian,
But as I said,
Christian saying there she was gobsmacked.
but is it not you're hearing things that aren't actually being said? Are you not? You know, you're on about giving people comfort. Is people not?
That's what it's about, though. That's what mediumship's about.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. What I'm saying is, are people looking for comfort? So therefore, hearing things that aren't actually being said because they're looking for comfort.
The way it works is, the way that I believe it works is.
Well, how many people see something like a ghost or something like that, and they believe it's what it is because of the comfort that they feel, that they want to feel.
Which is fair enough. I mean,
So that's what I'm saying. Is it not the same
I regularly tell you the story when I'm driving along in the car. I get the smell of old spice
in
the car,
yeah.
I know I've got to ease off the gas.
Yeah.
Now I smell my granddad's aftershave in the back of my car as if my granddad's in there saying, hello, son, take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
I'll take my foot off the gas and I'll whiz past the speed camera or something like that.
Yeah,
Not every time.
Absolutely.
Because obviously I've been done for speeding. In the past.
Yeah. You obviously forgetting his aftershave that day.
No, but I mean that's the point, and the point is at the end of the day is there is a genuine, like I say, the genuine ability. It's how we look at it, because there's so many different ways you can actually look at this situation. As number one is, I've heard people turn around and say it's about vibration, right? It's about the vibrations and stuff like that, and you can see that the TV screen flickers or the fan flickers. When a fan gets to a certain speed, it looks as though like the rotors on a helicopter are standing still. Yeah, and I've heard that equivalent of that's when somebody from another realm comes into our realm.
Yeah,
there's that whole factor of it's like a record.
Yeah,
so we're on this point here.
Yeah,
and there's a point to the left of us and a point to the right of us, and sometimes those bits will interact with each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've talked about things like, people have made stuff about alien beings and things like that the aliens can come through. There's so many different ways of looking at it about how this is the bit that we don't understand. The percentage of our brain that we're using is nowhere near what it's capable of.
Well, no, it's been proven that we do use all our brain.
Well, I disagree.
But scientists have proved that we do.
Right. Well, I haven't heard that.
Right.
I haven't heard anybody turn around and say that scientists use all of our brain. And that's why the fact is there's still people that are doing investigations into it to see how it actually works.
Obviously, people will look into how the brain works because, how does the brain work?
There's even the point.
But we do use all our brain. It was a rumor that we even use 20% of it, but it's not. We use the entire part of our brain.
Well,
it just maybe we don't use it to its full extent, but we do use the entire.
Right. Well, is it
100% of our brain?
There's an experiment.
I know people that don't use all of their brain.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there, Steve. There's a couple of things. But joking aside, note there's an experiment which has been going on where they've had rats and they've actually performed. They've actually taken part of the rat's brain out and they've put them in a maze and they teach them how to do the maze.
Yeah, because you don't need 100% of your brain.
What they're actually saying is to do with the memory factor and the actual storage of the memories. It isn't actually to do with the brain itself.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? So there's so many theories and stuff like that. And I mean, the thing is if we search on the internet for long enough, we'll be able to find anything that backs up my argument or your argument or whatever it is. Because there's so much misinformation out there, it's ridiculous.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, there is. The thing is, as you say, you can find the answers to anything you want. if you want to look for it.
Mhm.
I must be clear for it because obviously Steve
Yeah.
put I know people, and then both Christine said. Yeah, I mean anything you want, because if you type into Google, do medium or mediums real, you're going to get people who say they are.
Yes,
You're going to get
you're
people
gonna
who
get
say
people
they
saying
are. You know, do ghosts exist? Yes, they do. No, they don't. So you're going to get information from both sides. You know, there isn't a definitive answer to anything because there's so many. The only definitive answer is reality, is what is actually happening. Me and you are sitting in a room in South Shields because me and you are sitting in a room in South Shields.
Yeah.
We know that.
But then you've got the Matrix factor on top
100%.
of that now, because some people actually don't believe that we could potentially.
Yeah,
be
but
in the room.
that's just
There's another
that's
fact.
just idiots.
There's another factor which actually states, right, and this was actually tried to be argued in a point of law because this actually came out from America. If you could put your hand up there now like that, and I was to press my finger into your hand like that,
Yeah.
I am physically incapable of actually physically touching your hand. Although you'll feel me touch your hand,
Yeah.
that is a sensory perception which has been given because of what surrounds.
But
the
it's like
finger.
your nose.
Yeah.
You can see your nose 100% of the time, but your brain blocks it out,
Mhm.
which is the reason why now people can everybody now that I've said that can see the nose.
Yeah.
But until I mentioned that, nobody could see the nose.
Yeah.
But you could, 100%. Your brain just shuts out useless information.
Yeah.
So as you say, if you were to touch somebody, then well,
Christy's made a very valid point there. She says, I suppose the only way we'll know if there's something after death when we pop off.
but without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and I
Without a shadow of a
get
doubt.
that.
And that's why it's my biggest fear in life is the end of it, because I don't know what's there waiting for me. You know, it could be somebody with a pitchfork ready to stick it up me butt,
Right.
or
You're going back to the alien stuff.
yeah, exactly, or it could be, you know, somebody waiting with a bag of sweets.
Out of body experiences, right? An out of body experience.
Right.
I had an out of body experience when I was in hospital having the final operation on my knee.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
What happened was I went in, I was in the room.
My brain isn't working. I receive lots of useless information every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all a bit like that.
Yeah, definitely.
The point is I went in and I went in for my operation and I came to out my operation and I remember I was sat up in the thing, my leg was all in a splint and all bandaged up and everything was all covered. And I turned around to the lady who was looking after us and I said, "Where's my cup of tea gone?"
Yeah.
And I was quite aggressive with her. I'll openly admit that. I was very aggressive with this lovely nurse in the hospital. I said, "Where's my cup of tea gone?" And she went, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, I was sitting having a cup of tea." So I got picked up from the hospital by, as that woman was at my time, my mother-in-law. Right? Because obviously I'm going back over 10 years now. And I was...
Ian's joined us.
Hello, Ian. So I was driving back from the hospital, and she dropped us off at home. She went up, because obviously I wasn't mobile. We had one of these upside down houses, so I was living room was upstairs, and obviously the kitchen was downstairs. And she said, "You go and you get yourself comfortable." And she says, "I'll make you a cup of tea and I'll come back up." And she sat down and she was sitting having a conversation. And I said, "I've just had the weirdest experience when I was in hospital. I was having this cup of tea and I was sat out on this veranda." And I said, "It was beautiful." I said, "There was palm trees in here." And I started describing this specific table. I started talking about a specific set of chairs, about a dinner service, a tea service.
Yeah.
I was talking about the trees, and I mentioned this woman, and I said, I was talking to this woman. I don't know who she was, but I was talking to her. And I said, I knew, her name was, it wasn't the after effects of the anaesthetic, because students just asked if it was the anaesthetic. And I was convinced that while I was in my operation, I was off.
Death in Paradise was on when he came around.
No, I was off in somewhere completely different. I was off in a nice place. They'd sent us off to a nice place. So I was having this conversation with my mother-in-law, and I was saying, or my ex-mother-in-law, and I was saying, right, this is the situation, this is what it looked like, and I was describing very, very fine details about where I was and what I was doing.
Yeah.
And she went, "Don't she, joking aside, she said, "Don't move, I'll be right back." She jumped in the car, she drove round to her house and came back, and she pulled out a handful of pictures and said, "Was that where you were?" And I said, "Yeah, I was sitting in that chair there." And this was her mother, who was a lady called Elizabeth,
Right.
who I had met, right?
Yeah.
On a couple of occasions. I had sat, described the contents of the garden, the contents of what the tea set looked like, everything to her. And she said, "There is no way you could have known that because you've never seen these photographs before."
If you were having a nice conversation with the mother-in-law, you must have been dreaming.
Oh, no.
No, actually, I had
I
a very
got on
nice
with-
mother-in-law.
I got on with her very, very well. I mean,
No, I when I was married, I did have
yeah,
a
I
very
did
nice
get on with her
mother-in-law.
very, very well.
She definitely wasn't the bad lass that people
No.
go on about.
But I actually had this full-on conversation, and we'd worked for the NHS for the best part of her life.
Yeah.
She had worked in an institution for the best part of her life,
Right.
looking after certain type of patients.
Julie Les Dawson jokes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'll be totally honest with you. She was absolutely gobsmacked. She could barely talk to us because she was like, "But how did you know that?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." But that's where I was.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, when I hear people talking about alternative planes and sort of, being able to jump between sort of, I mean, obviously we're talking about a time zone. This is actually well before this lady had been born.
Yeah.
This is while our mum and dad were, this is even going back to before the Second World War,
Yeah.
to where they were in the area where they were in the job they were actually doing. And like I said, there was too many details to be described for somebody to turn and go, "There's a photograph, take that information in," because I'm not that good at retaining that amount of information.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that I actually physically felt as though I'd been there doing it and having the conversation, even some of the points I'd had during the conversation, that actually hit a very, very sore subject with what, I'm not going to mention a name, but what this lady was like, "I can't believe that we were talking about that."
Yeah.
We were talking about that 2 days before you went into hospital, but obviously I wasn't even in the house.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I do believe there's something out there. I do believe that there is, whether it's a capability of the brain, whether it's a time slip, whether it's some type of, I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah. Well, deja vu, isn't it?
Well, no, I
The,
don't.
no, but I'm saying deja vu is a similar sort of thing, isn't it?
See, deja vu can be argued in two things. Yes, you have been there before, or it's other. The factor is that you're actually, it's your brain, and it's that hiccup of the brain.
But what I've always said about deja vu, because I've had deja vu twice in my life, and I've said both times it's when it's been an important decision in my life.
Yeah.
So whether it's been a case of my brain is preparing me to make that decision, so it's already shown me. Because one was joining the army, I remember being in the train station, and it wasn't until I sat down in the train station after like doing my recruits, tests and what have you, and I sat down in the station. I looked across, and there was this image that I'd seen before. There was a bloke stood, leaning against the wall, and this and the other. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that I'd saw it before.
Yeah, but how did you? Right. So if we stop there, and I ask you the question now, is how did you actually feel when you saw that?
Well, I was
Did
shocked,
you feel
obviously.
yeah, but did you feel as it was a positive feeling? Or was it a negative feeling?
No feeling at all. It was shocked.
Right.
It was shocked that it was sort of like, I've seen this before, and that was it. It was literally the feeling, or the moment was gone as quickly as it came. I just recognised that I'd been there before, was shocked that I'd been there before, and then it was gone.
Because I've heard some people that have actually, there is a theory flying around out there where it's like you do a deal as you come to Earth. You do a deal,
Right.
and we're going to be here for a certain amount of time. It's like a
I
contract.
must have done my deal with
Yeah.
with Del Boy Trotter.
Yeah, there is a joke aside. There is
This time next year, Rodney.
there is a train of thought where you come to this earth and you come here for a reason. And you've got to do a certain amount of tasks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? And it's all about how we all feed off the information. Now the point is there's some people can turn around. You could look at that in a number of different ways, but two main ways you could look at it is number one is somebody sat you down and showed it you,
Yeah,
But these are key points in your life, and this is
that's what I'm saying. That because the twice I've had deja vu, the other time was the morning of my wedding.
Yeah. So it was a reinforcement, a positive reinforcement of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be there, and that's why I asked you how you felt after it.
Quantum Leap is now on Forces TV. Quantum Leap.
Brilliant. But then the other factor.
Will his next leap be the leap home?
Yeah. But the other factor is sort of like, but it is obviously that there is a sort of well, not a malfunction is probably too much of a way to put it, but there is some way where the brain's actually stalling, and you've got that millisecond stall.
Yeah.
And I've heard it described as that as well. I've had deja vu a few times.
Yeah.
And it's always been a positive deja vu for me. It's always been.
Well, as I said, I mean, both these times were major decisions. The army, I decided not to join. When it happened, and the wedding was that I was unsure whether I should get married.
Right.
And I didn't join the army, but I went ahead with the wedding. And
Right.
they're both obviously major points in my life. I don't regret either decision.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I would say I'm not. Well, I'm not. It's not obvious I'm not, because unless you know me, but I'm not married now.
Yeah.
But I don't regret being married, and I had a wonderful marriage when I was married. We drifted apart. There was I wasn't to blame for us separating for a change, and she wasn't to blame for us.
Yeah.
We just drifted apart. It wasn't there anymore, and it hasn't scared me off being married.
Yeah.
I would get married again. I haven't got a problem with that at all. So I don't regret that, and I don't. Yeah, exactly. And I don't regret not joining the army because of the fact that I didn't join the army. I then went off to the territorial army as it was at the time, and now I'm an instructor with the Cadet Force.
Yeah.
And I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with both. And I've met, and the way I look at it is, if I'd gone off to the army, would I have eventually met my wife? Would I have my kids? And so the way I look at it is, my life was panned out from the first deja vu moment, not the second one.
Right.
The second one sort of like reinforced it, but the first one was the one that made me like what it is today.
The thing is what there is an element where people, and I've heard it argued, I listened to quite an interesting debate about it, where it's actually like everything that happens in your life, you actually agree to before you come into this world.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you joke aside, you've got the path. And even though people say, well, I've come to a crossroads in the path, I've got to make a life-changing decision, I've got to go this road or this road.
Yeah.
Really what's actually happening is you're already mapped out what you're going to do. You've just got to keep following the path.
Yeah.
And there's even the point where I've even heard it where people have turned around and they've talked about people committing suicide and stuff. Again, very, very, very touchy subject, but where...
But it is, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, but it's
your
time to
literally
go.
all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's your time to go. It's your time to go, and that's that. You know what I mean? That's kind
depends
of
on what deal he's made.
Yeah. So it's.
I tell you what, mind if I agreed to this before I got here? I need to go back and have a word with myself.
Well, no. Yeah. The thing is it's full of trials and tribulations, and the thing is we learn from it. We is a spirit form. If you go the spiritualist way, it's an eternal progression of the soul, which is one of the 7 principles of spiritualism.
Yeah.
And what they actually do is,
I mean, we will eventually talk about spiritualism.
Yeah, but it's that. I mean, I just keep referring back to it because it's.
No. I'm just saying. Eventually, we will like sort of come on, because you're on about the what was it, the seven
principles.
The 7 principles, which obviously we'll mention when we come out to spiritual.
But you've got this sort of thing is where it's what they call eternal progression of the soul. This is the way it was explained to me was, and this is kind of I believe this.
Yeah,
I do actually genuinely believe this. Yeah. It's kind of like,
because I mean, obviously, I've got the 10 Commandments, which I'm supposed to live my life by, and I've probably broke all of them, or most of them anyway.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's the covet thy neighbour's oxen, which everybody goes on about. What it doesn't actually mean that I want my neighbour's oxen. It means his property.
Yeah.
So I covet his property, and it doesn't necessarily mean the person living next door to me. It just means in general a neighbour. But because
Yeah.
And how many times have you seen a car and gone, oh, I wouldn't mind that,
Yeah.
you know, or stuff like that. I must have agreed to a copy life, and I'm with you, Steve.
You see, the thing is there is. I heard somebody who somebody actually gave a speech at one of the churches that because you either got your mediumship or you got like a sermon. I suppose is probably the best way, or a lesson is what they refer to it as.
Yeah.
And the fact is, at the end of the day, is like you think about we are the way it was put across is we're in hell now. This is hell.
Ironically enough, my father always said there's no such place as heaven and hell. This is it.
Yeah, this is what it is. This is hell.
Yeah.
Right. We're here.
Oh, my father said that this was both heaven and
Yeah.
hell.
Oh well, no. This is what's actually happening is what
Don't lost I am.
the way it was put across to me was we're here. This is what we have a tough life. We have a tough deal, and we decide before we come to this earth whether we're going to open ourselves up to the true grit, the toughness, etc.
Yeah.
And then what happens then is we do our sentence or our spell or our contract or whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And then what happens then is we go across to the summer land,
Right.
heaven.
Right.
All right. I mean, when we go across to heaven, we then sort of
Heaven. Don't want to be anywhere near heaven.
I was going to say it's not a million miles away from us.
Spiritualism is cobbled together from all religions. I study Christianity and Buddhism at A level. Buddhists believe you will be reincarnated until you reach nirvana.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of thing. You're right, but the thing is like I say, for me, is you might have to come back 5 or 6 times to get something right, or to you know to what's the best way? I'm genuinely struggling to put it into words. You might have to do.
Well, what was it I was watching the other day? And they were on about you live your life, but then you live your life again, but then you live your life again, and each time you have to get it right.
Yeah, if you make a mistake, you have to come back and repeat.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember what it was. That was on.
But see, the thing is,
that's what they were on about. They were saying that you live your life, and
see, I mean, Steve's right there when you're saying about the Buddhist and stuff and the principles and things like that, and it's absolutely right. I think personally, I mean,
that's basically exactly what this program was saying. That Buddhists believe you will be reincarnated until you reach nirvana. So nirvana must be the heaven or whatever. Thing with Buddhism though is how you live your life determines what you come back as. They believe you can come back as an animal.
Yeah.
So is your mate a medium, Paddy?
Yes.
Yes.
I have believed.
No, he looks like a large from
Excel. No, but
he hasn't got his hoodie on though, has he?
Yeah. It's here. Look, it's here. No, it's
But yeah, go back to what I was saying. So nirvana must be the heaven or the good place or whatever, and you get reincarnated. So you come back living your life over and over again
no matter
until
which,
you get
no
it
matter
right.
which, right? It's whoever you follow. It's whatever your team is.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, but basically, nirvana is the state of enlightenment. Yeah. So yeah.
That's it. And I mean, it's basically getting your lessons right.
So basically, in order to live forever, you just don't do everything right. You keep getting it wrong all the time, don't you?
I've got to be honest with you.
Donny.
I'm agreeing with what's going on in the chat, the Ambron chat room here. Like, I mean, I've had my fill. To be fair, there's been a couple of times I've wanted to shuffle off. I'll be brutally honest about that. There's been a number of times I thought, what the hell.
But then you've also got. I'm gonna look this up at some point because it's something that's always is it socialism or something like that. The belief that you are the only person that exists. Everything else is in your head. So I'm sitting here talking to myself. If I was to believe that you don't exist, you are in my head. Everybody out there who's listening.
It's a matrix factor, though, isn't it? Sure.
Is it a matrix factor? I think it's a religion that's built up on trying to ease pain. I think that's probably the best way of doing it, because if a member of my family dies, and I believe in, I'm going to look it up to see what it is. and I believe that I'm the only person that exists, then I can't feel pain because that person never existed in the first
I
place.
think we have to feel pain now. I think we have to. You know, somebody once told me when I sat in a medium.
But do you, if you're the only person?
Well,
if you do, then it's pain you're putting yourself through, isn't it?
it's. I was when I was sitting in a circle. I sat in a.
Not a very nice sight for people on.
No, Paddy's gone full.
There we go.
When I sat in the development circle within the church, they had
Solipsism. Solipsism, that can't be right. Solipsism. Solipsism.
Yeah, Christine's put in a really, really important thing there. She's thinking.
Oh, Diane's completely crushed.
She thinks that pain's part of the journey in life, and I think that's
Solipsism.
I think feeling the pain and actually sort of like having an empathy towards another human being because you've suffered. I think if we had a lot more empathy instead of sympathy, empathy,
right,
in life, I think we'd get on a lot better with each other.
Well, solipsism or solipsism is the philosophical idea that one's own mind is sure to exist. Solipsism holds that knowledge of anything outside of one's own mind is unsure. The external world and other minds cannot be known and might not exist outside of the mind. Metaphysical solipsism is a variety of solipsism based on the philosophy of subjective idealism. Maintain that the self is the only existent reality and that all other realities, including the external world and other persons, are representatives of that self and have no independent existence. There are several versions of this, such as Caspar Hare's egocentric presentism, in which other people are conscious, but their experience are simply not present. So basically, what I was saying, that there's a religion, or not so much a religion, but an actual movement, metaphysical solipsism, that is based on the fact of.
I'd love to go in their church.
Yeah, that I am the only person that exists.
Good setup. I mean, like I say.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, how can you have a religion in a church with lots of other people if you're the only person that exists? It doesn't make any sense.
You see, the thing is, though, I think one of the biggest problems with religion is it's all like it's the mentality behind it. It's that we're part of this group, and this group must do this. And if you look back over history, more wars have been started over religion than any other thing. And I've got to be brutally honest with you. I'm kind of the type of person where, like I said, if you're all right with me, I'm all right with you. I don't care where you're from. I don't care, what colour your skin is, what turns you on, what turns you off.
If God is a benevolent God who loves us, etc., etc., why do we suffer any kind of pain?
Because this is
Same could be asked of family that has passed over. Why don't they warn us of pain? Why do they need to suffer? It's a very basic question and one we discuss for a full term without an answer.
Yeah. And I do sincerely believe it's about having empathy with people. I think it's about building the empathy. We have to suffer to have empathy, to understand and to feel those pains.
But what does that pain achieve?
It helps us to experience the pain.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
why?
It develops that empathy.
But why?
Somebody else, because we go through a set of experience. So I go through an experience.
Yeah.
All right, and that experience is, I don't know, I've lost my granddad.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
In 10 days' time, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I lost my granddad.
Right.
I'm still annoyed at the fact that my granddad's no longer with us. I'm still annoyed at the fact of how he died.
Yeah.
And I still get myself upset by it, where I've had other grandparents that have passed in that time.
Yeah.
And it upsets us, but it doesn't bother us as much. Now, the fact is because of what happened, if somebody turned around to me and said, my grandfather, my grandmother has got Parkinson's disease and they've got this, they've got that, they've got da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I can have a bit of empathy with them. I can sort of understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
And then I can guide them and help them and I can talk to them about it and say, well, in my experience, this is what happened. If they want that information, so then it develops me.
But what has the pain done for you?
It's taught me how to cope with it, so I can help other people and pay that forward.
Right. So it's all about giving.
Well, yeah.
So you're getting pain to help others.
Yes.
So is that not an unjust society? That you're suffering from pain.
Yeah, but that's what I said to you before.
For somebody else to then get the benefit of it.
No. But the point is, at the end of the day, so it's supposed to make me stronger as a person as well. It's like what I say. It's the eternal development or eternal progression of the soul. So I go through that.
Is that why I get upset and cry if I see anyone or animal upsetting or hurting?
Yeah.
Is that empathy?
That's the empathy.
Is it empathy or sympathy?
No, you see, the difference in empathy is how many empathy with somebody. If somebody turned around to me and said, my granddad's got Parkinson's disease, or my grandparent has got Parkinson's disease, or my mum's got Parkinson's disease, or somebody, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced Parkinson's disease, because I've experienced the dementia,
yeah,
then I can actually turn around and go, well, actually, yes, in my case, this happened to me, and I can talk to that person, and I can sort of give an opinion, maybe a little bit of guidance and stuff like that, because I've had time to deal with that pain, etc.
Yeah.
Right now, 20 years on, I could actually probably do that quite easily. Giving somebody sympathy, I can turn around and say, hey, yeah, I feel really, really sorry for the fact that your grandparent has got it.
Yeah.
But sympathy wouldn't be from a point where I wouldn't understand what that person's going through.
Yes, sympathy is like somebody who hasn't lost a parent. I mean, I've lost both my parents. So sympathy is somebody who hasn't lost a parent saying, I'm sorry for you losing your parents.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got a clue what I'm going through.
I've still got both my parents.
Whereas
I can't turn around to you and
say... empathy, as you say, is I'll give you the actual English dictionary version of it. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sympathy would be just to pass on sympathy.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, it's like that factor we were talking about earlier on when we were talking about talking to somebody, where you're like smiling at somebody or something like that. It's that kind of that mutual, it's that connection that you're showing with somebody.
Sympathy is feeling compassion, sorrow, pity for the hardship that another person encounters. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of another person.
Yeah.
So
you can understand.
So as you say, the sympathy is, Australia. At the moment, we have a lot of sympathy, compassion, and this and the other for people of Australia, because we aren't suffering from that.
Yeah.
Whereas if England was on fire,
no, hold on, no, you could it's slightly different. If your house has been on fire and you've lost all your belongings, you could have empathy.
It did.
Yeah, you should have an empathy to those people that have lost stuff.
Yeah.
I can show them sympathy.
I know when at the shops I attended service of remnants and went across to a veteran and thanked him for his service, and I cried, and I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's obviously sympathy that you were feeling for him.
But you see, the thing is like I say, it's like it's telling somebody with conviction. In my head, it's telling somebody with conviction.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, Samantha. Same time, same place. So, if you're more than welcome to join us. Samantha's just saying she's got to go.
All right. Good night, Samantha. Thanks for joining us. But like I said, you've got that whole situation. It's like same with conviction. It's like me saying to you now, I haven't lost my parents. You have lost both your parents. If I turn around to you and said, I understand how you feel, I can't say that with conviction because
you can't. Of course you can't. Yeah.
So I'm showing you sympathy towards that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had lost both my parents and I say, yes, I understand that is me being empathetic towards you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
but the question still remains: in what unjust society do we live that I have to go through the pain of losing both my parents to then go to somebody and say, yeah, I know exactly how you feel?
So, Alan says, but so back to my original benevolent God question: is it right for you to have help to deal with people who are suffering with the same issues you had to deal with you? You spent the rest of your life empathizing with others, which turn reminds you of the suffering, at which point does he suffering then? But he's suffering.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, then.
So that's what I'm saying. It's an unjust society.
It is,
because it's asking you to go through your whole life.
This is it. Goes back to my point of saying before.
Well, it can't be, because that would mean that the feeling of elation that you get when you get married when you fall in love, when you have children. They're
all part of the lesson, but the thing
so
is,
they would all be bad, wouldn't they?
no, it's not the case of that at all.
If this is hell, and we're getting all this pain through. I mean, in my 52 years of being on this planet, I've experienced a lot more good things than bad things.
Yeah, I
So
completely
if
agree.
I'm in hell, then hell's great. Because I've been married, and I love the woman I was married to. I've got two, wonderful kids.
Yeah.
And I've got a wonderful grandson. All really, really good stuff.
Yeah, which is great.
I've lost my parents,
Yeah.
but I lost them. I'm used to not having my parents.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll never ever shake the pain of not having my parents.
But you won't though.
But suppose childbirth is suffering. Well, not to me, it wasn't.
Yeah. It's I do genuinely believe, because it explains it explains a number of things of why things happen when you see things of people getting killed. You see sort of some of the atrocities and some of the horrible things.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff doesn't affect me at all. In the fact that, and I don't mean it doesn't affect me as in I'm sitting watching the news going, oh, somebody's dead. Obviously that affects me because it's somebody dying. But it doesn't affect me as in my life is still the same the next day.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you mentioned earlier, we've just had 3 years of all this Brexit stuff and people getting really angry about it, and Boris Johnson becoming the Prime Minister and this, but it hasn't affected my
state
life
of this country. It's hard. If you look at the state of this country now, that everybody's divided because of what's been going on.
Yeah.
This is the whole point. Like I say, there's some parties out there. There's conspiracy theories left, right, and centre about the fact that if you divide people, you conquer them. To have us all infighting and fighting over who, if we're going to be still be in Europe or if Scotland's still going to be a part of this, because obviously that one's reared its ugly head again and stuff like that. When we actually sit down and actually look at that, all the stuff that's going on and the stuff that we're bickering about and the stuff that people are getting really, really angry about on social media, what are we actually, while we're focusing and concentrating on this, what are we missing that's going past?
Absolutely, and I'm sure somebody posted something on Facebook which exactly was saying that.
It's diversion.
Because there was something happening and something else was happening. I mean, they're on about the what's going on at the minute with Harry and Meghan, and how conveniently it's turned up with just after the Andrew thing.
Yeah.
So now people are now like, whoa, Harry, Meghan, whoa, worst thing since sliced bread. But they totally forget about Andrew.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not for one moment, because he hasn't been found guilty.
Yeah.
So I'm not for one moment saying he is guilty. But surely what he did, or what he's alleged to have done, is far more serious than somebody who decides to spend half their life in Canada and half their life in England.
You take the heat off. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, there's that thing coming out with the woodwork at the moment about this sort of Gordon Brown sending that letter off to police forces about the young people who've taken their sexual choices and stuff to do with the rape gangs and stuff in certain towns. There's a big thing coming out of Manchester at the moment.
Right.
There's all sorts of things and diversionary tactics and stuff's going on.
Yeah.
But as long as we're focused on something else, then we keep in it. There's obviously other things that's going on around.
Absolutely. I mean, there's many times I've sat down and I've gone onto Twitter or gone onto Facebook or Instagram, and somebody's posted something, and then somebody's commented on it, and somebody else is commenting on it, and somebody else, and I've seen me sitting there flicking through the comments, reading them, getting angry, having a smile on my face, whatever. But I've seen me flicking through these comments, and and thinking, he's an idiot. No, that's good. And this, that, and the other. And then I look at the clock, and I've been flicking for 2 hours.
Yeah, that easy.
And
it's so easy.
And them 2 hours, as you say, the world around me has carried on for them 2 hours.
It's a joke.
I mean, it's like I was saying to me niece-in-law. Is there such a thing? but my nephew's wife anyway.
Yeah.
When he sadly passed away last year, and I was saying, when I was chatting to her, I was saying the problem is you obviously, and obviously I went through it with me parents. You know, people are saying to you, you know, sorry to hear about it and what have you. They don't mean it because no, how can they? You know, how can they? You know, it's just words, and it means nothing to you. It's just something that you say because they have to say something because you can't just like ignore someone.
Does it? No, I mean the thing
But,
is, there's a mutual friend of ours who posted a post on Facebook this week that said that their uncle had passed away. And I sent them saying, I'm thinking of you all. I genuinely did send a thought out to say, you know.
Yeah. Oh no. What I'm saying is, people say that because of the fact that they don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
but to you, who's actually going through it, it means nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going about this empathy and this sympathy. It means nothing. It meant nothing to me. You know, I mean, I don't know how other people have felt about the parents, you know, going whatever, or you know, loved ones or whatever. But somebody saying to me, sorry to hear about your ma, sorry to hear about your dad, meant absolutely nothing to me because it didn't achieve anything. You know, so this whole empathy and sympathy thing didn't work. You know, this person might have been giving me empathy, might have been giving me sympathy, but it didn't work for me.
I tell you what, hold on, where's...
And so I'd said to me niece-in-law, like I say, if that's such a thing, but I'd said, the thing is, you walk out of your house, you know, you lock yourself away in your house when things like that happen. I mean, I was only 9 when my father died, so, you know, I didn't really like sort of, you know, grasp what was going on. Obviously, I knew he died, but you know, whereas I was obviously a lot older when my mother passed away, and Malcolm's in the Facebook. Malcolm.
Hello, Malcolm.
And so I obviously knew. But the thing is, you go outside and the world carries on.
Yeah.
The world's still going.
But
and I was saying to my niece, I said, you know, what you want to do is you want to scream at the world.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't you know that my mother's just passed?
Yeah.
Don't you know that, you know, your own one or whatever has just passed? And that's what you want to scream at the world. You want to literally grab the first person you get hold of and like scream in the face.
Yeah.
My mother's just died. You know, what gives you the right to carry on? You know, going on the way you are. But obviously, that's what you've got to do, haven't you?
You see, the situation is,
Leslie Thomas.
Hello, I'm looking here now. I'm actually flicking through my phone. I am listening to what it is.
Yeah. Obviously, we're talking about how to what you call it. Talking about how to distract yourself, and you know you're flicking through your phone. Yeah.
I actually copied it. I actually read something, and I thought it was quite good. And it was to do with where somebody's passed away, and instead of saying those things that like I'm sorry for your loss,
yeah,
which is that sort of you know the sort of thing
the packed answer, isn't it?
Yeah, they gave the top 10 list of the most likely answers, and then they actually then sat down and said, actually, what you could try is try giving them these answers, and I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah.
There you go, and it goes like this. So there's 5 of them,
right?
And it says, "I'm sorry you're suffering right now, but I'm here with you and willing to help in any way I can. Is there anything you need right now?"
Yeah.
So that's one reply.
Yeah.
Number 2, "I'm sorry for whatever challenges might lie ahead for you, but I'm here and willing to help. Would it be okay if I call you next week just to check in with you?"
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Number 3, "Please accept my deepest condolences. I can't imagine what you must be going through right now, but I know enough about grief to know that it can be very challenging. Do not hesitate to call me if there's anything I can do to help."
Right.
Yeah? Number 4, "I'm so sorry to hear about," name their name.
Yeah.
"I'm sure you're going to miss him or her terribly. How are you holding up?"
Yeah.
Number 5, "I know there's nothing I can say right now to make things better, but I also know that having someone to talk to at times like this is really important. So you don't hesitate to call me whenever you need to talk." So those 5 things there were actually put on by, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I get what they're getting at.
That was supposed to be a more user friendly
But
response.
I personally, I mean, obviously people are different, but I personally would find all 5 of them patronising.
Yeah,
Every single one of them will be patronising. One of them asks you to give them a ring next week, or they're going to ring you next week to see how you are. They actually think that, to me, as soon as you read it out, in my head, I instantly went, they think I'm going to do something to myself.
well, I can see why people would actually think that, but I think it's also a factor of like saying, I don't know, it depends on how you take it, because the fact is I think sometimes knowing somebody's there to talk to,
Yeah.
and I've been in this situation myself.
I think it's a difficult one.
I've been in a situation where I've had people around me, and I've genuinely needed to talk to them, and I've been surrounded by 10, 20, 30 people.
Mm.
But I've sat and suffered in silence. All right.
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of, sort of very, 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 very touchy for me. But the thing is I've been in that situation where I've sat around and I've just thought, if I just dropped off the world now, nobody would care.
Mm.
Nobody would miss me. Nobody would be bothered. Well, I know.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying.
But your head,
and that's where people go, and that's the bit that they go into.
But the thing is if somebody had told to me at that time, when
people
I was
who take their own life,
if somebody came to us at the
that's
time,
exactly where they're at.
Yeah.
They're at that situation where, they go, but then when you come back to reality, so to speak, you then realise that, see, you were to shuffle off this mortal coil tomorrow.
Yeah.
Obviously, M would miss you.
Yeah, totally.
Your mother, your father would miss
Yeah.
you. I mean, I know there's problems, but even your brother and sister.
Yeah.
So there's 5 people that I've named, but then there's others.
Yeah.
But
you see, the thing
with myself.
But the thing,
well, the Italian.
Yeah, but the thing, like you say, joke aside though, right? The thing is when you're in that situation, you are totally.
Oh yeah. And that, exactly, you're absolutely right. And this is what I'm saying about people who take their own life, is they end up in that situation where they can't see.
You can't see the wood for the tree.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And I mean, every weekend, I guarantee, this weekend at some point, I will get a message on my phone from the office telling me there's a jumper on one of the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody's been out, had a bit of alcohol, it's totally messed with the brain. They think, the girlfriend's left them or whatever, and they think the world's coming to an end.
I don't know.
So then they decide to take their own life.
Me and Em were involved in an incident about, it was probably middle of last year, probably beginning of last year, where we drove across the high level bridge and we saw a girl in a very distressed state.
The high level bridge, believe it or not, is the most prolific bridge for people jumping off.
Yeah.
You always hear about people going off the Tyne Bridge or standing on the Tyne Bridge, threatening to jump off. You always hear about them on the radio, but you never hear about anybody in the high level. And the reason you never hear about them in the high level is because the high level one is the one that go to when they're actually going to do it, and they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's prolific.
I've actually had that from a member of the police force.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happened. We drove past this girl. I clocked out the corner of my eye, and I turned around to Em and I looked at Em. Em looked at me, and I said, "That didn't look right." She completely agreed with us. And by this time, I couldn't. I'd gone left to go down Askew Road 183 or something. So I'd gone down there, and I was like, "What do you do?" And I was in a genuine state of panic, and I thought, "What do we do here?" So I just foot down. I mean, it was late on an evening. So 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I drove like an absolute idiot. So I went down the quayside, up the quayside, up whatever it is, where the police station is.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Screeched on, and I got back to the thing, and literally, I put my hazards on, and I pulled over. Em, bless her, and anybody that knows Em, she went over that railing to the pathway like a gazelle. She just she cleared it, bless her.
Yeah.
And then I took the car down so she could get to this girl, and she literally swept this girl. She got her arm around her. This girl was in a hell of a state. Now, luckily, what this girl had actually done is I couldn't tell you the girl's name. I couldn't tell you where she was from or anything like that at all. And I said to her, and I went, "Are you all right?" And this girl just looked at me in the eye, and she completely, utterly went to pieces. And it was really, it was an awful situation.
Mm.
And Emma had a, and I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? That's absolutely horrendous. But all of a sudden, a member of her family arrived, and what she'd actually done is she'd text somebody, and they traced her on the
on the Find My Phone thing.
Find
Stalker app.
Stalker app, yeah. Well, like in the moment. But anyway, they got her, and we handed her over. And this guy, I've never met this bloke before in my life. I could point him out in the crowd if I saw him again. And this guy was half the size of me. He practically picked me up and went, "Thanks very much."
Steve said, "I watched the jumper. My mate and myself were driving Arctics up the A1. My mate was in front, got to the 690, and a shadow fell from the bridges in front of my mate's truck. Young girl jumped. My mate went straight over the top of her. It crucified him every day till he died."
Absolutely. And I can. I've heard, and it's
I can't even speak. You know, I mean, I've got a bit of a stutter that you don't have. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's always something that has crossed my mind every single day that I drive, because you know, you drive through Newcastle on a Friday and Saturday night, and drunks either stepping out in front of you or falling. I mean, I remember going across the Tyne Bridge, and a guy. I mean, the only reason I knew is because I heard brakes screech behind me, because I'd already gone past, luckily. But where I'd literally just been seconds before, a guy fell onto the road in front of a black cab, or you know, whatever, and it was the fact that this guy screeched his brakes off that I then looked in the mirror thinking, what's going on? And I saw this guy lying on the road where, like I say, seconds before I'd just been, and I saw the guy on the path, you know, giving the old drunken swear and what have you. So, you know, and my blood turned cold just at the thought. So for that to happen to Steve May, must have been absolutely horrendous.
I always remember, a good few years ago, I was talking to a guy who used to drive metros and used to be a representative on the metro system for the drivers and stuff. And he was talking about when they had jumpers on the metro, you know, when they were
they're absolutely, because they get all mangled up inside, and it's horrible.
But what actually happens is when they step off the platform where the driver sits, it was where they make contact.
Yeah.
Depending on obviously which side of the trains and stuff, it was make contact with them, and that caused a great deal of different. The effects that has on somebody.
Oh, was that guy? Was it in London, or was it in America? The police and paramedics tried to comfort Stan by telling them she would have been gone before he ran over. A few seconds later, would have been me.
Yeah, and do you know what, Steve? And I completely get that. I heard a guy tell me
it wouldn't have helped.
No,
I know for a fact, as a driver, whatever the police and paramedics said wouldn't have made no difference, because psychologically, my mind would have said that she'd survived the fall.
Yeah. I had it. One of the first aid courses I ran last year for driver CPC. I was talking to a lad, very, very similar circumstances to what Steve's talking about. What actually happened
it didn't make any difference to him. It wouldn't have made any difference to me.
This guy he'd been driving his truck. The car had come out of nowhere, hit the front of his truck. The car had spun off and it had hit the tree. And the kid who was in the car was medically trapped. So he went in and he sat with a kid. He was holding the kid's hand. He'd phoned 999. He was waiting for the ambulance to come. The kid passed away in front of him, cried his eyes out. Absolutely terrible. He said it was absolutely one of the most horrific things. He said he literally felt this kid turn cold. He was losing blood, etc. He was holding his hand. He said he felt this kid's hand turn cold, and he says, "I'll never ever forget that moment." And he said, "I took that bad enough, but he says the thing that made it even worse for us was actually the fact that he could obviously give me
their hands back.
Yeah, he'd given his information to the police and said, "This is obviously give his witness statement to the police and stuff."
Yeah.
And he said the mother of this lad wanted to speak to him.
Yeah.
So when the police came and everything had calmed down and the police came to do the proper statement and everything, they actually told this guy that this kid who'd hit his vehicle, who'd come out of a side road, was intoxicated.
Yeah.
He was on drugs.
Yeah.
And it was a stolen car.
Yeah.
And he'd hit the tree and he killed himself.
Yeah.
Now, some people would out there would go, "That's justice." You know.
No,
Well,
they would.
He's committed.
They would, without a shadow of doubt.
Because obviously he didn't go out that night to kill himself. He wasn't looking to kill himself.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it happened. However, this guy said two things that he said that tore him to pieces. The fact that number one, he witnessed it and witnessed the kid dying. He said the second thing, the biggest problem that he had was, he said he turned round to the woman and said he was all right. I was with him when he died.
Mm.
And the mother said, "Was he upset?" And he said, "Well, no, he was all right," kind of thing. And he says, "And I lied through my teeth to that woman to make that woman feel better."
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I've been places and I've saw people die, as you know, and nobody goes quietly, especially if it's a traumatic event.
Yeah, but that guy now carries that, and he
absolutely.
He says, when I go, he says, "I'll go to hell." His exact words to me were because I had a little chat with him afterwards, and his exact words were, he says, "I will go to hell." He says, "And I will rot in hell for eternity for lying to that woman."
Yeah,
those were his exact words, and I went, I says, "I think you brought her a bit of comfort."
Yeah.
No matter what I said, or no matter what anybody said to him, that will never, ever, ever, and I completely, totally get that.
No, definitely not. No.
Do you know what I mean? And it's one of them situations, but like I said, it's...
Yeah, welcome to Happy Hour on the Paranormal Experience.
But
no, absolutely. And therefore, getting back to what we originally talked about, channeling, and this is what I'm saying, this is the problem I have, is that do people hear things that don't want it or haven't been said because of the fact of the seeking that comfort? So that guy lied to that woman because he knew it would bring her comfort.
Yes.
So are people looking for the comfort from these channels?
I go back to that,
and the reason I'll say that is because some channelers have been proven frauds who pretend to contact the dead for fame and fortune, though most people who channel sincerely believe that some unseen spirit uses their body as a vessel to dispense truth and wisdom. In the end, there is nothing pathological about channeling, but nor is it an unexplained conduit to another dimension. So basically, what the scientists are saying is, it could be true, but it could, but it's not. It's not like sort of a definite.
I'm going to be, like I said to you.
The problem is we have so many fraudsters out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's people are skeptical about it, because there's so many fraudsters out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've seen certain ones I can think of the top of my head. I sat in that room. To be honest with you, there was one of them.
I know somebody who's a fraudulent medium, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call them. But I know somebody who's very fraudulent in the fact of they haven't got a clue, and it's them that's determined that they're a medium.
Yeah.
Nobody has, but they're quite willing to sit and charge people 15. Well, I'm saying 15. It was 15 a few years ago.
Yeah.
Don't know how much they charge now, but they're quite willing to charge somebody X amount of money to say that they spoke to somebody from the past.
Sitting and sort of like I think one of the best things you can possibly do if you are genuinely interested in this, and I'll say this to anybody that's listening out there, if you are genuinely interested, go find yourself a spiritualist church where you feel comfortable. Get your face recognised, get yourself in there, you know what I mean? Sort of turn a regular and stuff. And then get yourself into a development circle, right? And I think I've seen stuff in the development circle we sat in as a couple I've been in, and I was absolutely blown away with some of the stuff that I've seen. And like I said, I know I've seen it. There was no trickery, pokery, no hocus pocus or anything like that at all. But it genuinely made the hair stand on the back of my neck. on end. It was absolutely amazing. It was an amazing experience, and I do. If anybody's interested in it, I suggest give it a go. But then again, it's like any other religion. If it works for you and it comforts you, then
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of the time, it's charlatans out there who take people for granted because they need that comfort.
Mhm.
I mean, I openly admit I would have gladly took anything when my mother, and I mean, when I'm saying took anything, I don't mean loads of drugs. I mean, I would have gladly took anything to comfort me when my mother passed.
Yeah.
You know, I would have, I mean, I remember going to bed and I ended up having to sleep in Aaron's bedroom. And Aaron ended up, I mean, he was very young at the time, but he ended up having to sleep with his mother because I couldn't switch the light off. Because every time I switched the light off, I saw my mother's face. You know, not like glaring at me or, you know, like sort of, you know,
Yeah.
librarian from the Ghostbusters style, but I saw my mother's face. So I couldn't sleep with the light off.
Yeah.
So I had to lie. And obviously, you know, it wasn't Tracy's fault. So obviously she needed to go to bed. And so I used to sleep in Aaron's room with the light on.
Yeah.
Or I used to lie in Aaron's room. Do you not have to have the talent in you to start with, or is it something you can learn?
right, this is right. The way it was explained to me, and Christian, that's a really, really valid question. Is you don't have to have a talent. Apparently, everybody does have some form of talent in them. So you're either one or another, or both.
Yeah, mind singing? No, I didn't.
No, definitely not. So you're either
Talking for England, that's mine.
yeah, you're either a healer, or well, it's all form of healing, or you have the ability to communicate. To to be clairaudient, clairsentient, so they can sense what's.
Well, we're coming to clairvoyancy later on.
I mean, obviously we'll.
Well, not later on because it's like 20 to 12 now.
I say we've got about 21 minutes
Yeah.
left at the moment, right? But the thing is we'll obviously go into that one at a later phase in that one, because obviously it's one's quite dear to my heart. But everybody, the way that I
It's a gift, though, isn't it?
no,
Rather than a talent. People call it a gift.
right. See the thing.
I can't see how talking to
I-
spirits is a gift, because I would say it was the opposite.
I don't think it is.
I would say it was a punishment.
I don't look at it as a gift. What I look at it is it's like a skill, it's an ability. You have the ability to do something. Now the thing is, at the end of the day, is if you choose to use.
Yeah, but
that
even
for good-
mediums call it a gift, though, don't they?
Yeah,
They call it a gift of being able to talk to the dead.
but the
I
thing is,
wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't. You
you
know, if
have
you've got
to-
people dying, you're all dying.
you
you know.
have to no. See, that's the problem. Is that's where things get out of hand. You see, the thing is, it's like anything else. You have to learn how to communicate with somebody.
Yeah.
So the fact is,
So I think that's what Christine is on about, isn't it? You may have the talent,
You have a
but
talent.
you need to
Everybody-
learn how to use it.
It's right. It's that I'll put it even simpler. All right. It's basically it is like driving a car. Everybody has the ability to have that key in the hand, to turn the key.
True mediums and churches do not like it being called a gift.
No, that's right. They don't.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a medium or a church.
They don't like it being called a gift, and that's kind of where I was going with that one. And thanks for that, Steve. But the thing is, what it is everybody has the ability to put the keys in the ignition. Everybody has the ability to start the car. It's can you get from A to B without crashing it, or without damaging it, or doing it correctly. And that's what it's like. It's exactly the same as a skill about learning to learn how to drive a car. So first off, what you've got to do is you will have the ability to go, hold on a minute, there's something happening here. You will witness something, or you will feel something, or something will, that will give you that indication that that's what's happening. You will then go to a church and you'll sit in a development circle. And exactly what a development circle is you're developing your skills of communication.
So are spiritualists the only people who can be mediums?
No.
Right.
No.
Just when you're saying you're sitting
One
there,
of the best.
you sit in a circle.
One of the nicest and one of the most funniest mediums that I've ever met was a lad who was an ex-firefighter who then went on to be a caretaker in a school. That was his retirement job.
Right.
And he's probably one of the most influential people that I've ever met in my life, and had such an impact on my life. And I mean, eternally grateful to him for what he did for me. The gentleman's called Keith, and he's He was absolutely, utterly, totally one of the most amazing guys I've ever met in my life. If you met him and you went,
Timmy's back.
hello, if I turned around to you and said this guy's a medium, you would have laughed yourself
Right.
to the floor.
What, is that bad, was it?
No, just looking at this guy.
Oh, right. No, it's definitely an extra large.
And I say this with the greatest respect to the chap. He looked. Just looked like a just looked like a grumpy old man.
Right.
He used to get up on the stage. I saw him do
the wheel tappers and junters group.
No, he seriously, he was an absolute. He used to go down the club. He was a proper sort of,
Yeah.
He was just a wonderful guy, but by God. But he told you like it was. He was ferocious. And some of the stuff that he came out with, some of the pearls of wisdom, some of the stuff that he helped me with. I mean, like I said, I'm eternally grateful to the chap.
Yeah.
But he was an amazing influence on my life, and he gave me probably some of the best lessons to set me up for my little path that I went down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously, I'm not particularly active with everything at the moment. But everybody has the ability. It's a skill you've got to develop. You've got to hone your skill.
What, everybody has the ability to talk to the dead?
Yes.
Right.
That's what the theory is. It's whether you choose to do it and develop it, and it's entirely up to you.
Right.
It might be the fact that you might be a healer.
Think of it as a light with a dimmer switch. Everyone has a light, but with the light gets turned up and brighter. As the light gets brighter, the more spirits can see it and attracted to it. That's the best way of describing it.
Absolutely.
So are you some sort of medium, Steve? Did you seem to know
me
a lot about
it? Me and Steve have had we've had a little bit of a conversation with it, and it is right. It's about opening up. It's all to do with some mediums will go down the chakra. They'll talk about the chakra. It's your third eye. It's your
third eye. What? I've got more than one eye. I've got more than one eye. Of course, I've got more than one eye.
It's all these ways that you can. There's so many different ways to describe it. It's a kind of veritable minefield, negotiating how it actually all works and stuff.
Right.
But the thing is like I say, the way it was explained to me is it's like I had a switch. I've got a switch where I can flick it because I'd spent a serious amount of time sort of meditating,
right,
stilling my mind, learning how to communicate, learning about the skills to communicate, learning how to read those sort of signs that I was ready to communicate to people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I asked my guides to come forward, and I was blessed with, and I have got some wonderful guides. Like, I know those guides, even though I haven't been active on this side of things, I know those guides are still with me now.
Yeah.
And I know that those guides, if I asked them to draw closer around us again, but I had a guide for little skills, and you were chosen for certain jobs at certain times.
Yeah.
So they'll put you in certain places and stuff, and then so you could actually deliver messages.
Right. So are you like a Derek Akura?
No.
Where you could go into a building and summon the spirits through Psalm or whatever?
No. I wouldn't put myself in that class. What I would probably do is I'd probably be better on a one-to-one basis where I was sitting down with somebody.
Right.
I might even use like a key, what I call like a key, which would be like tarot cards.
Right.
I would sit down, shuffle the cards, sit and have sit.
But cards, I can learn tarot cards.
Yeah, no. Anybody can learn tarot cards.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
No. It's really, really difficult to explain that because yes, you're right. Anybody can learn tarot cards. I can give you a book and say this tarot card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. I can learn how to use tarot cards.
I've got a set of tarot cards. Right, it's for me using the tarot cards. I look at them; they're very visual for me to look at. So I wouldn't actually turn around and go, right, you've got the 10 of Pentacles and this means da-da-da-da-da, which would be the book effort. It's a key for me, so I might even start with the cards and stuff. You start to go into communication with somebody. I might even put the cards down, talk to the person, then come back to the cards and stuff. It's just a way of focusing, where some people use crystal balls, some people use tea leaves. It's all about focusing the mind. It's about focusing. So focusing, taking off.
Yeah, but is it not a case if you could tell them anything?
That would be morally wrong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But we've just talked about charlatans who do it for fame and fortune.
But
so
I'm not famous to it, and I haven't.
No, but I'm saying, could that not be what it what people do.
Yeah,
You know?
anybody can be a charlatan. Hey, I could go and jump in my car now and pretend to be a taxi driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's illegal.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not illegal to charge people to be a medium.
It's fraudulent. You still can get
Well, it's not.
It's
not.
a false mediumship act.
It's not fraudulent.
It is.
If you register as a medium, it's not fraudulent.
There's no registration for a medium. The thing is,
So if there's no registration, how can you be done for fraudulent medium?
Because there's a law that prevents you from being false representation as a medium.
But how, when there's no registration for being?
Because all it literally takes is somebody to turn around and go that they find what you said is false, and you end up. You'd have to. I don't think there's been a prosecution under it, but I do know that.
Well, there wouldn't be, or there hasn't been, because there wouldn't be as many people out there who are charlatans.
I do know that there has been people prosecuted for taking money off people for false representation.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough.
But the thing is morally, the thing is if you're going to do it, you do it with a good heart. You're going to do it correctly and properly, and you're going to try and help.
Yeah, but as I said, we spoke about them tonight, and every single thing that we've mentioned under pseudoscience and every single show that we've done, Paranormal Experience, there's people out there who have been fraudulent.
Yeah.
There's people out there who have done it purely to make money from. So that's what I'm saying. These people who, you know, they turn over a tarot card and it's got, I don't even know what's in tarot card. I know the death card because it's hours on everything. But, you know, they turn over and they've got a card, the lovers. You know, they'll turn over and they say the lovers. And then you'll go, ooh, I'm getting a lover's card. And they'll go, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that.
No, it does have a specific meaning. You have the
well, it doesn't. If you're saying that it opens up other things, it doesn't.
The death card.
It might have a meaning in the book, like you're saying, but it won't have a meaning to that person.
Right. If I was giving you,
was the same as the book.
If you were getting a reading from me and I turned over the death card, that means that there's new opportunities coming your way. So there's new stars.
Or it could mean I'm going to die.
No.
But it could.
No. Doesn't the death card?
Well, no, it can.
No.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean that it is, but it can.
Right.
Because if you're telling my future, and I've got death in the future, which obviously at some point it's going to happen.
Of course, you're going to die in the future. But the fact is, at the end of the day, the death card. This is what happens. This is where.
No, but let's say you were to do the cards now, and I step outside and I get knocked out, or get struck by lightning, or whatever, and I literally die now. Then my future, the death card would be to tell me that I'm dead.
No, the death card doesn't mean death. That's a common misconception.
The death card doesn't necessarily mean death, is what they always say.
It doesn't mean death.
Right.
If I pulled it, I'm telling you now, if I sat here now,
right,
and we were doing the
so why does the book say that it does?
The book.
But then it not necessarily does.
No, the book does not say that it means death. The death card, it's the end of something and the beginning of something, new doors opening. Right. And I'll tell you what it is. While you keep talking, right, and I'm going to go and get my tarot book, all right?
Right.
Right.
It says the death tarot card usually signifies spiritual transformation, a time of change and new beginnings.
Yeah. Didn't say death though.
Then other people have said the death tarot card represents significant change in your life, not necessarily the end of it. Not necessarily the end of it.
No, it's all about changes, and then it depends on which card's pulled out of it.
So the book will say the death card really means death, but the end and start of new beginnings.
The only reference.
So it does say that it means death.
No, it means the end.
Well, according to Steve, it says the book will say the death card really means death. But if it really says it, it still means that it says
but
it.
The point. Yeah,
it does, because if it's really, then it just means it doesn't say it all the time. But it still
Honestly,
says it.
no, Paddy, it means something coming to an end.
No, I'm saying I've just read what different people have said, or what different interpretations of it are, and Steve's interpretation, or what he says, the book will say, is that it really means death.
Mhm. It's about new starts, new beginnings.
Yeah. I mean, I read that out as well,
Birth of something.
and that's exactly what Steve's saying.
Yeah, I'm just going through here, and it's going. In some cultures today,
But it depends on where the card comes in the spread.
Yes, and it depends on what cards are around it. So it's a marriage.
Yeah, that's exactly what Steve's saying. So it can be death, but it very rarely is.
It means the divinatory meaning of it, the end of something which has been lived out, a transformation and new beginnings to follow.
Right.
That is the shortened version, and that is from.
Yeah. I'm saying that's exactly what I've said.
Mythic.
That it means, like, the end of a spiritual, or or the end of new beginnings or something. But it does also mean death.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, not in my book. It doesn't. Not
Right.
here. The end of something which has been lived out.
Oh well, Steve obviously has a different book to you.
Yeah. All right.
And the person who wrote the thing on the internet obviously has
Like I
a
said,
different book.
that's the set that I use.
Yeah. I'm not disputing it, but isn't this the problem? That it's
You see, the problem
it's
is
open
the
to
only,
interpretation,
the
isn't
only
it?
reference, the earliest reference that's actually been found to that one was in a James Bond movie, which was the one with Solitaire, where she pulls the card out and it's a death card, and that was actually caused ructions at the time. And I remember having a conversation about somebody who was actually a tarot reader, who'd been a tarot reader for years and years and years, and said that the misconceptions that took. She actually had a woman who, after seeing the Bond movie, she pulled the death card out when she went for a tarot reading, and she apparently screamed and ran out of the room.
One of the things it said was it's the most disturbing card for anybody gets, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. To be honest with you, like I say, I've had it where I've given people readings. I pull that card out, they've panicked, and I've just laughed at them and said, it doesn't mean what you think.
Yeah,
it's a really positive.
Yeah,
card.
and that's it. Like I said, that's what a lot of people have said, including Steve, who said, but it depends on where it falls in the pack, and it rarely means death. So it does mean death. It just rarely means death. So the thing is, exactly what I started the whole thing about was that anything you see in a tarot, it either has and means. Also depends on whether the cards come out upside down or not. I don't know.
That more sort of the suit of cards depends on what that.
I've got no idea, and I wouldn't want to comment on what the cards mean.
I get where Steve's going with that one, but there's certain cards where if you pull them out upside down, they have what they call an inverted meaning.
Right. Well, because the card's inverted, then it has a different meaning than what it would mean.
The primary cards, the majority of the primary cards don't actually have any meaning.
Right. Well, like I said, I wouldn't know because I've never studied them. But these charlatans that we're on about could quite easily get the lovers card, get the death card, get this whatever card, other cards there is. I already know the lovers and the death ones because I've seen them. They could get them and they could say they mean anything.
Yeah, you could.
They could tell you anything. But the book will say that it means this, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So it's open to interpretation, and that's the problem with all these things.
The thing is, at the end of the day, it's how you do it. If you do it in a positive way, not making anybody any harm, which I think is the way. If you do it with love, I've said this to you a number of times. If you do it with the love that it's actually deserves.
But is that not
right? The lovers there. I've got that one there.
Is that not an escape though? Is that not just an excuse to turn around and say, if you do it for comfort, then it's fine? Is it? Is it ever comforting? Is anything that you do to comfort somebody fine? I mean, we're going back to the empathy and the sympathy earlier on there. Me having empathy for somebody, is that actually helping them? And that's the thing. Well, it might, but it might not.
There's a different.
Because you want about them 5 things. Now I found all 5 of them patronizing.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying I kept a hold of those because that was
yeah.
something that was supposedly to bring comfort to
Yeah,
somebody.
exactly.
And I thought to myself, you know, when I actually sat down and read them, I actually thought, well, actually, no, that's probably going to
Yeah, they are. They're very patronising.
somebody's going to
sort
throw a
of.
phone
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that. Just go back to the lovers there. The divinity meaning of a love affair with a trial or a choice attached, right, is the meaning of the lovers. So it means there is love, but there is going to be a choice that's actually made. Of these cards that I've got here, because these are very pictorial cards.
Right.
All right. So there's you know, like I say, it took me three.
From what Steve says, from what he can remember, the worst card is the tower drawn upside down.
The tower is tower's
Tower, like I say, the only one that I knew was the lovers
tower,
and the death.
okay, then, so the divinity meaning of the tower is a breaking down of existing forms, change of false structures, and finding true values. Some people would actually look at the tower and it would be like, for instance, somebody's about to go through a really rocky divorce.
Right.
If you pulled the tower out,
Mm.
you would advise that person that there is going to be a turbulent time around them.
So is that when it's the right way up, or is that when it's upside down?
That would be when it's the right way up.
Oh, he's on about it being upside down.
For it being upside down, it means literally things would be turning on their head. So everything as you, there'd be total change of what's
Right.
going on around you now. So if you were in a comfortable existence, it would be on its head. There would be something that would potentially.
Right. But as I said, the problem with charlatans is I don't know nothing about tarot cards.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to tell me anything,
Yeah.
and that you drew the tarot cards, then you could literally tell me anything.
So I say the thing is like,
And I would walk away going, oh,
Yeah.
or ooh, or whatever, because of the fact that, you know, that's what you've told me.
Yeah. But like I said, it's up to, yes, you get there is like I said it again. I've said it a number of times this evening. There is probably a vast majority of people out there that are charlatans. Whereas you look at some of them, there's some people out there. There is some good people out there. It's like anything else. It's like any organisation, anything you look at. You're gonna have your good apples. You're gonna have your bad apples. And because they shed loads of bad apples, or because there's bad apples, everybody that's in that crate's gonna get a.
Well, everybody gets tarred with the same feather,
Yeah.
don't they? And but the problem is, or tarred with the same brush.
Yeah, that's I know what you meant.
It's tarred and feathered that you get to. But I feel like Bruce Forsyth, higher, higher, lower, lower, nothing for a prayer, not in this game.
No.
But yeah, the thing is, you know, mediums, clairvoyance, which we'll talk about, tarot cards. Why is it that they're so frowned upon if they're real?
Yes, I think there is people out there that have give them a very, very bad reputation. You had your Gypsy Rose Lee's types and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where there was a lot of negativity around that, where you had to cross the palm of silver and stuff like that. I can only speak from my experience that I had with the tarot cards. It took me a long time to learn how to do them.
Yeah.
It took me. I've had 3 sets of cards in my time. The first set of cards I had didn't really work very well for us. The second ones that I had were like an Egyptian tarot, and I was struggling a little bit with them. And then I met somebody who was a white witch, and this white witch said, "I've got a present for you. I'm going to give you these cards. These cards are the way forward for you." And it was like there was a definite shift in positivity around them when I actually got the cards.
Get the Viking set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Viking sets. The Viking sets.
Is that a set of tarot cards?
Yeah, the Viking set.
I was going to say, it totally lost me there.
My auntie Helen's got the Viking set, and that was
Yeah.
That was the ones I initially where I got interested in it.
Yeah.
Now the fact there is it's like anything else. I can get in.
No, I didn't know there was different sets either.
Christine, what it is
that makes you and me both.
There's different sets, and it's whatever you feel comfortable with. There'll be, and it's all to do with how you attach yourself.
But what's
to
the
cards.
different sets mean?
It's how they work for the person.
I mean, I'm sure at some point we're going to come across tarot cards.
It's how they work for the person that's using them. Like mine are pictorial to show pictures, so I can read the pictures when I don't need to sit with a book in my hand.
Yeah.
Because you can look at the card and go, this is what the card means.
Yeah.
And it's a very pictorial sort of a set of cards works for one person that might not work for somebody else. So your cards are supposed to find you. You're supposed to become like.
But
opening
is
cards.
that not the same as the crystals and all that? Is it not just an excuse if something doesn't work? That
No,
they've got to find you,
my cards work.
right?
I believe my cards work.
Yeah. But
I mean, there's probably people out there they probably go, "Did my cards work for you?" Yeah, Christian's saying some don't have pictures on. Some people don't need the pictorial. They don't need the pictures to relate to.
Yeah.
But it's whatever cards you feel comfortable with, whatever cards work for you.
You can read tarots with playing cards.
Yes, I've heard that one as well. That they have meanings. The tarot cards.
Could you like, really? So I thought exactly the
Yeah.
same. But yeah, it's just the whole thing. As you say, there's so many charlatans out there that and I've been to mediums. I've had my tarot read, and nothing has come of it, of anything that I've been told. Some things that should have passed many, many years ago, and nothing came of it. So there's nothing. There's no definitive.
It doesn't work for you, Paddy. You know what I mean?
Well, when you say it doesn't work for me, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Again, is that not?
I genuinely don't know. I cannot sit here and say it doesn't work. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. If religion doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. If you don't like a certain type of pair of trousers or a pair of shoes, it doesn't work for you. It just doesn't work.
No, but I don't get what you mean by it doesn't work for me. Because that's me not liking a religion is me not liking a religion. Me not liking a pair of shoes is me not liking a pair of shoes.
No,
me
you might like
wearing...
a pair of shoes, but they might be uncomfortable for you to wear.
Right, so obviously the wrong fit for me. So what do you mean by that with like mediums and tarot cards?
I don't know. I cannot sit here and dissect it. You know what I mean? You couldn't sit here and dissect and say this is what the problem is. I can't do that. Right? There's got to be that one. You know, when we were talking about your mother, you wouldn't want your mother to come back to you to get a message for you because you have that fear, as you said tonight, of losing her again.
Yeah.
Right? But the thing is like,
Well, it doesn't have to be my mother.
Yeah.
It can be somebody else. It can be somebody coming.
But there's got to be, there's the sort of the want or the need for the communication to happen. If you don't want it to happen.
I went to a medium only once. The wife pushed me to see him, and he said, "I can't read you. You should be doing this." And that was my only visit. That was Steve. Yeah. In fairness, he gave me my number.
Which is fair enough. You know what I mean? The fact is like you say, I have spoken to people. I mean, Joe.
Yeah, but surely that sentence, "I can't read you."
Joe, he can't give you a reading.
Why is he right? I was going to say, why would he want to read them?
No, it'd be give you a reading. That's what it's classed as. But the fact is, at the end of the day, is Joe, right? Like I said, Joe, she's told her to me, and she said, "There's nobody's been able to give me a reading."
Right.
She says nobody's been able to do my cards for us.
Right.
And I laughed at her and said, "Go on, and I'll give it a go."
Yeah.
And we did. There was things that did come up that you could relate to, right? She didn't say too much. She didn't tell us how she thought about it and stuff like that. But she just laughed at us and gave us a big hug at the end of it, which was great. You know what I mean? But it was a nice laugh. It wasn't like you're an idiot sort of thing and stuff like that. So the fact is, and obviously I remained in contact with her for a long time after that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the situation is, but the thing is, at the end of the day is even if I sat here now and said to you, right, I'll go and get my tarot cards out now because I know you so well.
Yeah.
Unless I gave you a piece of information, there's no way that you could.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it.
So there's no way I can actually prove it to you, which is really, really sad. But then I know there's a couple of people out there that could probably go, actually, this is Paddy. Give Paddy a reading, and you probably turn around and go, "Oh, well, you fed them with information because you know them or what." You know what I mean? You kind of, but it's sometimes.
Well, that would be the thing. It would have to be me going and finding somebody like a medium or a tarot card reader or whatever.
You walking into a decent church with a decent medium on, I think is going to be possibly the way of potential.
Well, it's got to be somebody
who you've never met,
and this is what I've said all along. I mean, there was, when we went to the Welcome Tavern, there was so much about that. You know, Christine obviously got the from the Dowson, the crystals and what have you. But she'd heard so much information.
Yeah.
So was she subconsciously making them crystal moves? You know, because she was asking questions that she already knew the answer to.
You see, the thing
Was
is,
she subconsciously doing it? And this is what I've
Steve-
said. This is what I've said all along. It's got to be somewhere where we're not known, and possibly not even know what's going on, so we don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
see,
And you know, and then we turn up and we do the hunt.
Steve
and
made
see if
that.
anything comes of
Steve
it.
made that situation. Steve, when he came over to the Welcome Tavern, hit the nail on the head. He said that's when he walked away when they were talking about stuff,
Yeah,
and he wasn't listening stuff just in case he did feel anything that come up, which I completely agree with. Obviously, I mean I've seen there's that new TV program with William Shatner on at the moment, which is on one of the channels on one of the Discovery channels,
Right.
History channels and stuff. And this guy in America did this investigation. He basically went and asked all the questions, and then he turned around after like the pathetic 5 minutes of television and went, "Yeah, there's obviously a problem in the house." I'm thinking,
Yeah.
get away with yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the fact is, like I said, there is some idiots out there, there's some charlatans, and the thing is for you, if you want to have that experience, the experience that I've had, the experience that Christine's had, the experience that Steve's had, we've all had different experiences, and we've all hit different parts of our lives. And we've
Well,
led to a path.
Steve said he's only been with one medium,
Yeah.
and it didn't work.
But but the thing is, at the end of the day, that's not to say that there might be another medium out there that might be able to deliver him a message.
Yeah.
It might have, you know what I mean? Like I said, it didn't work for him at that moment because there might be somebody else there to give him a message from, you know, and that's how sometimes it does work. That might be the fact that you
But does it work?
I think it does, yeah.
Right. That's the whole crux of it.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not. I mean, that's the conversation that we're having, is whether mediums and tarot. I mean, we didn't even mention tarot cards, but obviously we ended up with tarot cards. Might have said that we didn't mention a lot. We didn't mean to get into a lot of things that we've discussed tonight. Yeah.
No, but genuinely, I do believe it works. It works.
Yeah.
It works. I've seen both sides of the coin, and I completely understand where you're coming from, because I can understand the skeptical side, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh yeah, well, that's a load of rubbish and stuff." I completely.
No, I'm not. I would never ever.
No, but
in
like
anything.
I
I would never say. The only thing I would say was a load of rubbish was the Loch Ness monster and Yeti, because.
No, you've got to watch. No, you've got to watch. You've got to watch that TV program with that Zachary Quinto. I'm telling you now, seriously, you've got to watch it.
Well, I'll watch it, but
awesome.
I'll still end up at the end of the day not believing in the Loch Ness monster and not believing in the Yeti.
The Yeti thing, or the Yowie, as it's called in Bigfoot in America, it's called a Yowie in Australia. That has been there's 5 or 6 different theories for that one, which I've heard over Christmas. I watched a fabulous documentary on that one. Obviously, you can tell what I watch when I'm watching TV.
Aye.
But I've watched some fabulous documentaries on that one, and I think probably one of the best ones is with that one.
You don't believe in Nessie?
Somebody actually
No,
said,
I don't.
somebody actually said the thing is what actually happened with the Nessie thing is they actually found a body washed up, and they couldn't explain the body decayed.
Yeah.
And it's actually, you have to watch this.
The thing is about Nessie, right?
You've got to watch this.
The thing about Nessie, right, is I don't believe it's a monster. If there is something there, then it's probably a Manitou or something like that. You know, it's probably a big mammal, but it's not a monster.
Right.
That's the thing that I don't believe. Could be. There could be something there. I'm going to slap sense into you, buddy. There could be something there, but it's not a monster.
What they've actually said is they've compared. You'll understand this when you watch this documentary. And what they've done is they've said, and when they're going down in the deep ocean, into deep water, they're starting to identify. One of the areas under deep water is they're identifying more species in deep water than they are on.
Yeah, but it's not that deep. Loch Ness isn't that deep.
It's not that deep, but there is parts of it because of the way that it's shaped and stuff, where it's as tall as it is above the water on one side of it, where they reckon it goes down to 750 meters in one place.
Yeah.
But there's caves and caverns and stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
There's been stuff eroded from it, where it's been like sandstone, soft stone, or whatever it's been. But you've got to. There's a theory which I think is a really good theory, where it is something that when it's from
but cryptozoology is another night. Otherwise, we're going to be at like sort of 7 in the morning.
It's from the dinosaur age,
right?
And they said that obviously when the comet hit,
I remember watching Family Nest on kids' TV.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Definitely. But no, they've gone back. They've gone. One of the theories that they went down is when the comet hit Earth, and covered everything. That there is a lot of stuff that has survived that we look at, and stuff that they're identifying on a daily basis, whereas it's like a species which are millions of years old.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not a million year old.
Yeah. But that's the thing. If Nessie exists, there must be more than one.
Yes, exactly.
There's got to be more than one, and they've got to breed.
Yes.
So how is it they're not being seen?
Well,
more than one.
Right. You need to watch the documentary.
Right.
You need that.
I'll still come away from it at the end of that documentary and still go to a load of rubbish, because it is. They've tried everything they possibly can with the lock. They've had sonars down it. They've had microphones down it. They've had loads of stuff down it, and they're yet to have evidence that there's something there.
Yeah. But they need to look at the right time and the right places.
They're in a lock. What are you talking about? It's like 24 mile wide and something like 1.5 miles.
It's open-ended for migration to the sea.
It's not.
It is.
It's 24 mile wide.
It's open-ended because the salmon coming from.
It
couldn't even find Ted Danson in the lock, and he couldn't find it. I know.
He did. Ted Danson did find it.
Yeah, he did.
In the actual what you
in
call
the
it?
movie.
Yeah.
No, there is the River Ness, which connects it to the North Sea. That's the photograph there that you brought up on the thing, which is the.
No, that's the
surgeon's
surgeon Hawks, isn't it?
Yeah, but there is the River Ness that leads out from Loch Ness that goes out to sea. It's the overflow duct, so the water.
Loch Ness, lying in the Highland Council area of Scotland, with a depth of 788 feet and a length of about 23 miles, Loch Ness has the largest volume of fresh water in Great Britain.
Yeah.
I can't be sea opening if it's fresh water, can it?
No, it's a river that runs into the sea, exactly the same as the Tyne starts off fresh water and runs into the North Sea. But it has the River Ness. The River Ness runs into the North Sea. Got to watch the documentary, Paddy. Seriously. And it is midnight.
Aye. It doesn't say.
But type in River Ness.
It's the largest body of water in the Great Glen, which runs from Inverness in the north to Fort William in the south.
Yeah, check River Ness.
Yeah, well.
Type in River Ness. It's a fabulous looking place. Like I think me and Emma are thinking about.
I'm sure Aaron said he went up.
I want to go up there. I want to do that. Was it that Route 66, the Scottish Route 66?
Oh, I don't know.
Supposed to be really good, but I'm going to need a caravan to do it.
Right.
Apparently. Under the lock tunnel leads out. Yeah, there is.
Underwater. Yeah, they reckon there's a tunnel.
There's a tunnel that leads out, but they're actually the River Ness. They actually go through the River Ness and show the. What's supposed to turn left at Albuquerque?
What?
It's supposed to have turned left at Albuquerque. Steve says no. There is
what? Is this the way to Albuquerque?
Yeah, there's the River Ness. That goes out, that drains out into the North Sea.
A bizarre mix-up on Google Maps has seen Moral Firth wrongly labelled Scotland Loch Ness.
Yeah.
So that goes out into the sea, the Moral Firth.
Yeah.
But they're saying that's wrongly.
Loch Ness does go, although it's called a loch, it's the actual
I
O.
don't know.
It's because the salmon, is it red salmon? You see there's a river going up there, look.
What
Look
there?
there's a river, look, and it goes up. Is it into the Moray Firth?
It's into the Moray Firth.
There you go. It's called River Ness.
Yeah. So it's a river that runs
Yeah,
through.
so it's a river, and that's how the salmon every year they migrate in to lay their eggs. And I can't remember there's a specific name of the salmon, and they come in every year and they spawn hundreds and hundreds of thousands of fish.
Yeah, well, it's got to because they're
And that-
saying that there isn't enough.
And I was saying that's what it feeds off,
Yeah,
supposedly.
it goes into the Bewley Firth, whatever that is. It's a canal, not a river. That connects it.
No, the canal runs alongside it. There, look.
Huh?
Right, Paddy, look. See there? There's the canal,
Right.
and there's the River Ness there. Right? So the River Ness runs. There's Inverness.
Everybody's like, what?
And there you go, and there it goes into Crannock Point, and that's where it goes into the North Sea there.
Right. So every time they've gone looking for Loch Ness, it happens to have swam into the sea.
Well, you have to watch the documentary. There, look. Right. So there you go. There's the loch.
Yeah.
So there's
No,
the
I
loch
fully get that. I fully get that, and I fully get where the loch goes to and what have you.
there. There you go.
But
There's
every time they've searched the loch, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years,
right. Hold on.
every time they search the loch, it
Loch-
Nessie's out in the sea.
You've got Loch End.
You want to escape strangers.
Yeah. You've got Loch End there. So you go through Loch End. Loch End's the shallowest end of it.
Yeah.
And that's the one where they actually. Apparently it's one of the greatest fishing points in Loch Ness for Loch End.
Right,
And it goes into Loch Dunfor,
Right.
Doch 4,
right,
and then it goes into the River Ness
right. So
Canal.
we've got a loch. What is the name of this documentary then?
It is Zachary, In Search of, I believe it's called.
The problem I have, like with Nessie, is that it's become so famous that people from around the world travel to Loch Ness all the time,
Yeah.
and
That's
nobody has seen anything yet.
There's a thing you can go on. It's a website. and
Now I get the escaping from strangers bit that
It
Diane
counts.
says, but
It-
you can't escape from that many people for this length of time.
There is actually a bar graph that you can go to on the Loch Ness. There's a Loch Ness museum, and I believe it's got a website, and they are the official place where you report your sightings.
Mm.
And actually on there, it actually states that how many sightings there's been, and there's on average is about 18 to 20 sightings. a
Yeah,
year.
and they're all false. They've all been proven to be false. Every single sighting of Loch Ness has
This-
been proven.
Well,
Do you not know Nessie has a safe house?
Yeah. Well, like I said, just watch.
I'll not,
You need to watch
because
the
I couldn't be bothered to watch it, to be
Right,
honest,
It's a shame.
because I couldn't be bothered with people who were talking absolute rubbish,
It's
and that's the problem I have. The problem is,
Ah.
right, we've got a body of water that is supposed to have this thing in it, right? This documentary is obviously saying that this thing now goes out and lives somewhere else. So it's no longer Nessie.
They've offered.
So basically what they're saying is this monster isn't Nessie that everybody says it is, because it happens to have swam in to the loch.
What they've offered an alternative opinion, which potentially is viable.
So that what they're saying is there's no such thing as the Loch Ness monster.
No, they haven't said that.
But they have.
They've given it a profile. They've made a profile.
So what they're saying is it swims between Iceland and Scotland.
It's the Netherlands. It's somewhere in the Netherlands.
It got sick of eating salmon, so it's gone out to eat for a change.
Yeah. But apparently they reckon that even feasibility this, because they've done this study, and it's like I said, it's good how they've done it,
Right.
right? I mean, it doesn't make me believe that there's Loch Ness mind, but I just said it's a really good way that they've done it. They've
Right.
done it in a very, very scientific
So you've
way.
just been arguing their point, and you don't believe it yourself,
I do.
right?
I think there's something. No, I think there's, right. It's called right. I've found it out there. It's called
Just like birds fly south, it swims north.
Oh, hold on a second there. Right, so it's In Search of Series 2 with Zachary Quinto.
Right. So it's took the Americans, because obviously us British scientists aren't good enough. It's took the Americans to come up with something. Is that what you said?
No, not at all. They've done it a different way.
Because
They've looked-
ironically enough, all the American scientists have found something, yet the British scientists
Right,
haven't.
they've
The
looked-
British scientists who dropped sonars
they
and actually
use-
swam underneath
use
in a
British-
submarine have found nothing.
They've used British people. The guy on the boat, they're using the most up to date sonar that they can,
Right.
and they get a contact on while they're actually on the water. They get a contact and they send a dive team in. Right now, I kind of was a bit tongue in cheek with that moment where I thought, oh, that's just too good because it's obviously
Yeah.
that whole TV. Oh yes,
Yeah.
look, we've got contact. Oh, excitement.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the TV.
Because there is a
programs-
boat that's actually gone, that spent a year or something traveling
now-
up and down.
It's
the
now a
lock.
permanent fixture.
No, there was a boat with a sonar
Yeah,
that went up and down the lake,
it's
purely searching the whole
there
lake.
is now a tour. There's a guide, like a tour thing now that you can go on, which actually does a tour of Loch Ness, which actually has the most sophisticated sonar equipment they can put into the boat. And he actually, as you sit in it, the boat, you can actually see the big screens, and it actually shows you, and you can actually see the sonar contacts of the fish and stuff like that. Like I said, it's worth a watch, the video.
Well, I might get around to watching it at some point. I doubt it, but I might. But anyway, that's a completely different night. Anyway, we weren't talking about cryptozoology, because next you'd be telling me the Yeti's real.
Well, you're not seeing Chewbacca, right?
Chewbacca's a Wookiee, not a Yeti.
Wookiee
No,
uses Pantene.
I mean, as I said right at the beginning of the show, gorillas and giant squids and cryptozoology.
Yeah, because you didn't understand what it was
The
about.
difference is they have been discovered to be real. Nessie, who gets investigated over and over again, hasn't been.
Well,
There's just one program. So if this program was right, why wasn't it on the news?
Well, but the problem is, it's just quite an interesting one, this, because you have this mentality with mainstream news where it'll be that last minute throwaway jokey comment at the back of it. All right, and it's a bit of a joke, it's a bit of a giggle, it's a bit of a funny thing and stuff like that, right? Now the fact is, at the end of the day, right?
But there's not just the news. There's the papers. I would love to be a fly in McDonald's tonight to hear this conversation carry on. It'll be something completely different when we get to McDonald's. But no, why isn't it in the papers? Why isn't it on news? Local news.
Because there is quite the guy who
People want to find out if there's a Nessie,
the guy
if there's a
who's got
Loch
the video
Ness
and stuff
monster.
like that. But the fact is, at the end of the day, the bit is I know there's a couple of guys that I know who run hotels in that neck of the woods. You know what? It's good for business.
Yeah, of course it
Which
is.
is absolutely
But wouldn't it be better for business if they knew there was a monster?
Yeah, it would be
If
absolutely
there was an
superb.
actual monster.
Yeah.
So therefore, why isn't the news?
But like I
Or
said,
why
it's-
isn't people out
right,
there?
The thing is you've had it's had a number of ways that it's been looked at. There's been a number of like investigations and stuff like that, and I mean they show you.
I mean, the picture that walk,
yeah.
the
about
doctor's
this.
photo was massive until it was debunked by the person who
But
took the
they
photo.
talk about that in the actual thing. They actually show
What, the photograph?
They talk about the photograph in the
Yeah.
documentary. It's over 2 nights, the documentary. So there's a part 1 and a part 2, and I completely get where you're going with it. But the fact is, at the end of the day, is what they actually do is they very cleverly turn around and go, right, they show you the 1970s investigation with that British scientist, which is the one where this guy is utterly convinced that there is something swimming around in the water.
Hmm.
I can't remember what the guy's called, but it's a proper 1970s.
Oh, I mean, I said right at the beginning of this conversation, there might be something there,
Yeah.
but it's not a monster.
But the thing is what they've actually done is and that's the point where I keep saying to you, you need to see it, because what they've done is they've turned around and said, this is the myth of the Loch Ness Monster. This is the history behind it.
Yeah.
Now what we're going to do is
it the Pterosaurus or something that they're saying?
Right.
It is? Because that can't live in cold water.
Right. They take it back.
Yeah.
And they said they make suggestions.
Because that was a thing that was mentioned years ago.
I'm not going to ruin it for you.
That was
but
a
they
thing
go
that was
in, if
mentioned
you
years
do
ago.
watch it, but they do strip it right back and they
Yeah.
say this could be, this is the profile of what we could be looking for.
Mm.
And then what they do is they look at those and say, yes, well, this could have done this, but in this case it couldn't because it couldn't survive in this type of water.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously you've got a crossover, and where they talk about it crossing over. So what they actually do is they go through the actual profile.
Yeah.
I.e., for instance, they say about it having a long neck.
Yeah.
Right, and they say that the neck couldn't be as long as they think it is, because the fact is there wouldn't be enough muscle structure, and there wouldn't be cartilage, etc. Wouldn't be able to support the weight of the head. So then they turn around and go to the head, and so they go through this computer model, and then at the end of it they go, "This is what potentially."
So they end up with a Manitou.
No. Not at all. But they go through every theory. They go through every single theory, and that's what I said. It's a good bit of television,
right?
Where yes, it isn't a monster.
Yeah.
But the potential is it's this animal. This is what we could.
Which is what I said right at the beginning, Steve.
This is what we're potentially.
This is what I said right at the beginning. There's no such thing as a Loch Ness monster, but there might be something that lives there.
It is called the Loch Ness monster because it lives.
Well, no, it isn't.
It is.
It can't be.
People refer to it as
if it's a
monster.
if it's a whale.
They refer to it as a Loch Ness
monster. But monster only means something very big. Well, it doesn't.
No, Christine, it doesn't. It's a giraffe with flippers. they actually go through that. You guys, you've got to see the TV. You've got to watch the program, honestly, because
But so going back to what I said originally, I don't believe that there's a monster. There may be. I'm not saying there's definitely something there.
But they refer to
there may be something there
because it's there. Because
and therefore, why are they not turning around going, "This is not a monster. This is this"? Because if they're doing it in a documentary, it's out there.
It gets called, like I said, because it lives in Loch Ness. It gets called the Loch Ness monster. But this is what they then say the profile of what it could potentially be. You need to see it, Paddy. Honestly.
Right. So basically, what they're saying is there's no such thing as a Loch Ness monster.
Paddy, you need to watch it.
No, you're saying they're calling it the monster because it lives in Loch Ness, but it's not a monster, which is exactly what I said right at the beginning there.
Watch the documentary, Paddy. Honestly.
So when I watch the documentary and I come back and I say, so it's a whale, Dave.
It's not a whale.
No, but I'm just saying. I mean, I'm saying what it is because I'm seeing the documentary.
Watch the documentary.
But I come back and I go, Dave, it's a whale.
It's not a whale.
So it's not the Loch Ness monster. It's a whale, or it's a Manitou, or it's a you know.
You need to watch.
It's a dinosaur that's still around 65 million years later.
There was there was.
Yeah, well, like I said, the first scientists thought that's what it was, a Plepthosaurus or something. But
then they've ruled that out.
Well, others debunk it because the water's too cold, and it couldn't have lived in that.
There is a specific thing about the water in Loch Ness. There's a very, very severe thermocline in the water.
Yeah.
So obviously,
which is also what they say affects sonar.
Yes, but when it actually goes
down, I say, Dave, I haven't just walked into this as if like I've never looked at the Loch Ness monster before.
The thermocline they talk about is absolutely it's unbelievable. I think we're going to run out. I think we're going to get kicked off.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to go anyway. It's 12:30 anyway.
Going to 10 seconds.
But yeah, so we'll end the show at that because we didn't actually mean to go into cryptozoology. Might be learn.
I think
you see Steve's comment.
Might be a load of snorkelers, one of those Chinese dragons costumes. I think so.
Aye.
Are we still broadcasting there?
No.
We're not.
No. We only broadcast on what colours?
Right. What's it? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, shut it off.
Right, okay then.
Yeah.
You just said we are. We've gone.
No, we're not now because it's got off. We were, maybe.
Right, hold on a
But,
minute. Let's
I mean, we're just coming on to say you're not now, Christine
you're
said.
not now. Hold on a second. Is it?
It's on there now. So we should be back on. I mean, we're only coming on to say there are. But obviously, it's a bit rude of us just to
No. I
disappear.
think we are. Are we back on there? So
Yeah, we are.
guys. Yeah.
Because it's saying at the top there on there, and you
Right,
can see
awesome.
it's here connected to server 1 and connected to server 2.
It says we've got 4 hours and 59 minutes to go.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay.
So I mean, obviously, there's loads more of the pseudoscience for us to go through.
In
I
another
mean,
6 weeks' time.
I was going to say we obviously only probably scratched the surface of mediums.
Yeah, I think that's.
But I think we'll put that. Yes, I can hear you. But I think we're going to put that to bed. And when we come back next, we're going to be talking about dowsing.
Dowsing.
And the art of dowsing, and whether it's true that you can pick up water and precious metals, etc., with the use of sticks. And obviously, there's some examples of that.
Excellent.
So that'll be next week. We are on next week, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
So yeah, it's not a fan of dowsing. A lot of people aren't. But yeah, that's what will be. I like it. Christine likes dowsing. Paddy, get to the doctor with that cough. Yeah, I'm sure. I do need to go and get it sorted out. That's definitely
Definitely need to
certainly.
get it checked out.
I think it's the lack of coffee in this facility.
Do you know what it is? He takes one break, and he gets a cup of coffee made for him. He knows where the kitchen is. Feel free at any time to go and help himself out if he needs to get up like I did and go and get a drink.
Yeah, but if I leave you loose, God knows what will happen when I come back. You'll have everybody converted.
Oh, dear. Okay then.
So obviously, as I said, we'll be going into dowsing and a few other pseudosciences. Cryptozoology, as you can see, we start. I already mentioned Loch Ness Monster, and we ended up talking for about 40 minutes on it. So we're not going to go into cryptozoology tonight. Right, well, definitely not tonight, but we're not going to go into cryptozoology. That's going to, and probably Loch Ness is probably going to be one night by itself. And then we'll go on to the other, because even cryptozoology is a massive subject itself. So, that's going to go on for a while. So we're going to clear all the pseudosciences. So as I say, we've got dowsing, we've got EVPs, ESP.
Extrasensory perception.
Yeah, so we've got all them to come. So hopefully you can join us. Hopefully we'll all be sorted next week for 8 o'clock. I mean, we did start a little bit late.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can all be sorted. But in the meantime,
I think what we're going to do is the night before we're going to turn all the technology on again.
yeah, I need to make sure it's all working now, make sure it's all updated and what have you. But I mean, obviously the camera when we're eventually going to go in was working all right, and the technology seems to be working all right. So until next week, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Oh, I can't believe that.